Welcome to New Hampshire Politics. Welcome to New Hampshire Politics with John Burt. I'm John Burt. Thank you for joining me. And today we have my very special good friend, Don Gorman, back with us to talk about some topics that are been in my head.
Really good
Yes.
stuff. Well, it's great to be back, John.
Yes. Well, thank you very much.
I always enjoy being here with you. You got a great audience. So.
Yes, and we at the end of the show, make sure you stay tuned because Don and we're going to talk about what he does, and we're going to do a special show on that in a couple weeks. We'll be airing that, but so make sure you stay tuned to the end of the show.
Yeah, but it's about drugs in New Hampshire.
Yes,
and it'll be a very powerful show. We're the #1 state in overdose ODs.
We are.
Per capita, of course.
Yep. Yeah. Sadly.
Yeah. And there's a lot more stuff, but we'll save that for that show. But
yes.
Folks,
and we'll talk about.
Want to watch that one.
Oh, absolutely, and we'll talk about it at the end get them. Yeah.
Sounds good.
But what I want to talk about first, and Don, I just can't. Last week I had a whole show on it to talk about the Florida school shooting.
Yeah.
Since then, so much information has came out that has just been disturbing to me.
Yeah.
And one of them is Broward County Sheriff Scott Israel.
Yeah.
I don't know if he can make himself be hated anymore with America. I mean, people are turning on him left and right. Even the left media is asking him some really hard questions, which they should anyways.
Oh, absolutely.
But most of the time they just give him a pass.
Yeah.
Well, they're not giving a pass this time.
I've seen several shows that he's been on, and and it looks like a big publicity stunt. NRA is responsible for everything, and I'm not taking any responsibility at all. I have the greatest law enforcement agency in the country.
Well, and then he keeps talking about how he cannot be responsible for his sheriffs, and why I say that is this Scot Peterson. That stayed outside the school why it was being shot up by here's this
deranged
teacher. The teacher's throwing himself on students, and they say he saved lives by taking the bullets and dying. And there's a sheriff that stayed outside, this Scot Peterson, but he is coming back with an attorney now since this shooting and saying, hey, no, don't be blaming me here.
Yeah.
And then what is really disturbing is that there's 3 other officers that are also told to stay outside. And from what I'm hearing, they want to get to the bottom of this, but they're saying that there possibly could have been a stand down, don't go in for the school shooting.
Yeah. Well, supposedly, according to the sheriff, I mean, they have excellent training and leadership.
Yeah.
I mean, bar none, the best in the country. And training and equipment, they've got some of the greatest equipment in,
Yes.
They've got equipment, all right.
Yeah.
And they're standing out there while all this gunfire is going on.
Yeah.
I dare say if you and I were at the school for some reason and we were armed and we heard this kind of gunfire, we'd probably head towards it.
Absolutely. And I can't imagine a policeman in New Hampshire not doing that.
Neither can I.
To be honest, I can't imagine one across the country, but now we just found out that there's 4 of them.
Right.
That's why there's questions. Was there a stand down order not to enter the building?
That's an excellent question, because I have a hard time seeing 4 officers, one after another, showing up while this gunfight is going on.
Yes.
And just standing there unless they were told to.
Even at that point, I think if they, if I was an officer and my superior says don't go in there, and I know kids are being shot, I don't think I could stop myself from going. I would, my body would force myself through that door.
Yeah, you would say, I've got to respond to this.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trained for.
Yes. Well, it's like when that teacher, I think he was a gym teacher, security guard.
Oh yeah.
That threw himself on those students and saved lives.
Yeah.
he did what he thought was right, and it was right. I mean, it's sad that he is gone, but I can't imagine. It's just disturbing. And the biggest thing too now is what they're doing is they're blaming the NRA.
Oh, well, we know it's the NRA's fault.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is it's like motor vehicles. We have 43,000 deaths due to motor vehicles in this country a year, give or take, roughly, right? And there's no question that the problem with that is the American Automobile Association, AAA.
Well, so we should remove automobiles off the roads. And
Absolutely.
They'll save all those lives.
We can confiscate those and save 43,000 lives.
I like the word confiscation.
Confiscate. I like confiscate, yeah.
So they're going to come right in your driveway and take your car. Just
with a tow truck.
And they're going to save you from yourself.
Well, they'll save us from drunk drivers, because the drunk drivers are going to be riding a horse too.
Well, that's true. He isn't going to do much harm with a horse.
No, not really. Even galloping through the middle of the mall, you won't do that much.
Yeah. But it's funny how they're attacking the NRA, because what happened is I saw on Facebook, and if it's on Facebook, it's got to be true.
True,
yes.
Absolutely true.
But they show FBI fails us because the FBI was notified of this guy.
Everybody was notified.
The Broward County Sheriff's Department was notified and went to this kid's house, I think, was it 29 or 36 times or 38 times? It was a big number.
We'll call it 24 and call it close enough.
We'll be conservative, yes.
Yeah, we'll be conservative.
Then they showed the state, and there was a few other, and even the school failed.
Right.
Because they said this is what the school did wrong. But then they blame the NRA, and I'm like, oh, how does that happen?
It's got to be the NRA's fault. It's always the NRA's fault.
It doesn't make any sense. And now, sadly...
AAA for motor vehicles, NRA for firearms. It's simple.
Yes. Well, then, sadly, Dick's Sporting Goods, which I do not shop there, and I won't shop there, because I went there several years ago. Remember when 22 bullets, the shells, you couldn't find them anywhere. So.
Oh, I remember, yeah.
Yeah.
I was running gun classes, and I was having a hard time getting ammunition for my
Well, they were
students.
worth weight in gold almost.
Yeah.
So you couldn't find a 22 shell. Well, Dick's Sporting Goods had they got a shipment in. I was in Concord. I said, I'll stop over. And they had some. So I grabbed a couple boxes.
Right.
I go up to the register, and they said, are you an American citizen? And I look at her like, excuse me?
Yeah.
Well, are you an American citizen? I have to press yes or no, and if I press no, you're not buying them. I said, well, then you might as well press whatever you want, because I'm not buying them. I said, I can go to any gun store in this country, and they're not going to ask me that question. Right. She says, at Dick's Sporting Goods, we're going to. And I said, well, I guess I don't need to shop here. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
So I said, I apologize. Do you want me to put these back? She says, I'll put them back for you. And I said, okay, thank you. Yeah. And I left.
Yeah.
Well, now they're saying that they're not going to sell assault-style rifles.
Right.
But according to Rush Limbaugh today, when I listened to him, just driving back from Concord, all of a sudden, hey, Rush, you're right. He says they stopped selling those after Sandy Hook 6 years ago.
Oh, yes. I remember that now, yeah.
Well, so why are they coming out saying it now?
Publicity.
They don't think it's going to hurt them?
No.
Because I don't think any NRA friends of mine are going to go there.
Well, no, that's true.
And so they're worth, it's worth the losses.
Yeah, but I don't think there'll be losses.
Yeah.
Stop and think of all the liberals that are going to get down there and buy their firearms there.
Well, I don't think they really sell firearms that much. They sell bullets. They sell bow and arrow stuff and fishing and hunting,
tents and
I think they do sell some rifles.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if they sold. I wonder if they did sell pistols. I never really looked.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't frequent the place. So
well, I'm not either. Yeah, and I'm never gonna. So, not that I'm calling for a boycott. Because
no,
that's up to
I wouldn't call for a boycott.
Yeah.
Do your own conscience by all means.
Yeah, but I know I don't think I know the buzz on my Facebook friends. That are NRA members, which I am not. They're not gonna put up with this, and they're not gonna go.
Yeah.
The other one is, just to finish up on the Broward County is they do have a SWAT truck, and you can see it right.
Yeah. That's what I said. The equipment.
Yeah.
They do have equipment.
Yeah, look at the size of that thing.
Look at that side, bulletproof, bomb-proof. I mean,
And how much did that cost the taxpayers? And it wasn't used. And,
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is the FBI, are they doing the investigation of this school?
I'm not really sure.
Because they already dropped the ball.
Them and everybody else, but it's the NRA's fault. Don't forget
Yes.
that. Right.
But who can we get to do the investigation that's going to come back with some true reality of what happened?
Well, whatever the hell you do, don't have the NRA do it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, because it's already yes.
They're prejudiced.
Yes.
They like selling automatic weapons to people to kill other,
Pretty much that's what they say.
Yeah.
And like these school protests that they're having across the country now.
Oh, yeah.
Those are, according to Rush, what was the name of the group? They're digging deep into it, and they found that there's a anti-gun group that are organizing these.
Of course they're organized. I mean, 15, 16-year-old kids have to be organized. They
Yeah.
They don't do this spontaneously.
So they're just using them.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it.
Yeah, that's sad. It is.
But don't forget, it's all the NRA's fault.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, but what's making me nervous, and I hope it's just lip service, is President Trump. I mean, the NRA, and again, I'm not a member. I as a state rep do not belong to any groups.
Good.
Because I feel that way. I beat at my own drum. I listen to my voters, and I vote my conscience when I vote. I'm not linked with anybody, but I am a huge Second Amendment fan. But the Second Amendment, other than the biggest reason Trump won, President Trump, was Hillary ran against him, and nobody wanted Hillary. Even her own people voted, and then what happened with Bernie and all that. So that helped Trump get into office. But one of the big reasons Trump got into office was he was so pro Second Amendment.
Yeah, right off the bat.
Well, if he starts banning stuff, it's not the gun, it's the crazy kid, and the breakdown. And that's what I talked about last week, was the breakdown of the family. You can't say God in school anymore. There's, just a whole array of stuff.
Yeah.
Videos. I showed videos, a picture of videos. The kids are constantly, and in these videos, you have to shoot everybody to get the most points.
These video games, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have to blow things up and shoot people, and
it's constant.
Constant. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah.
And
they're growing up with this stuff.
Well, go for a walk today out in the woods, and you won't see a kid out there. Where before, that's all you saw out there is kids running around all the place.
Oh,
Kids don't go outside anymore.
Yeah.
They go out and they look up and they want to know what that big yellow thing is.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, get your butt out there.
They don't talk to each other either. Everything's text. They're sitting across the table from some. I was at a restaurant the other day. There were 4 people. There were 2 kids, mom and dad, right? Yeah. And they had ordered. The waitress was going getting the food, right? And I look over there, and all 4 of them.
I know it's sad.
Oh, what a nice family dinner!
Yeah.
I mean, I was really impressed.
Yeah. Well, I did want to bring up a couple bills while I had you here.
Yeah, we had some action up there last week, huh?
We did. Well, the first one is on sobriety checkpoints.
Okay.
And let me get that number for you, so in case the viewers want to look it up. It's House Bill, I think I've talked about this too a little bit, but it's House Bill 1283. So House Bill 1283 is prohibiting sobriety checkpoints.
Right.
Well, what I was... I at work, I have a part-time job, and I never, sadly, there's a lot of people that use their cell phones at work. I mute my phone, I put it in my pocket, and I use it for a clock. That's it. So every now and then. And then if I'm on lunch, I might look at a few things that I have to deal with the State House.
Yeah.
Well, my phone kept buzzing and buzzing, so I kind of looked at it, and I'm like, what's this? And well, it was NBC out of Boston.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, well, I think I might take that call.
Why don't you take that call? Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Well, they wanted to come up and ask me about how did I get this passed on the House floor and in committee. So they came up and did an interview, and I explained how I did it. And we really need to get rid of these sobriety checkpoints because they yield virtually nothing.
Right.
Where if the officer is in the car driving
patrol,
around,
right.
Yes. They yield hundreds of more.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, one officer can pick up 2 or 3 DWIs in a night.
Yeah.
But if they have 10 officers at a DWI check,
Yeah.
they're not picking up anybody because other than a pimply-faced kid with marijuana.
Do you know back in, I think it was 95, who was the state representative that first got them banned?
No.
Me.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, my libertarian friends were ecstatic. Ah, this is
Yeah,
great
1-1.
stuff. Wow! First of all, you want a bill, all right?
Yeah. Now, how do they do them now?
Well, they at the time they could just set them up, so they came back with a new piece of legislation after I was out of the House, and the new piece of legislation said that in order for them to set it up, they had to go to the court and get permission to set it up from a court.
Yes.
So by adding that to it, that fixed everything, and now we have swept the roads clean of DWI.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the testimony, this was 20 years ago, the testimony was exactly the same then.
Yes.
That they get 20% more, 10, 15% more DWI arrests by patrol
Yes.
than they do by setting these roadblocks up.
Yep.
And at that time, they didn't need to go to the court, so there was no public record. They just set it up.
Well, and that's what the officer, the state trooper that was there, and I'm going to bring in the NBC interview.
Yeah.
But the officer on the NBC interview said I was wrong, that they aren't doing it just for the money, because I said they're only doing it for the money. But the officer that testified in front of us said, we're doing it to get the grants. Well, that's doing it for the money.
Oh,
And,
wow.
and then he also said that we can get the grants without doing the checkpoints anymore, so we're probably not going to do very many. Because he even said they're very ineffective. So follow the money.
You see, you don't understand. If it's coming out of the taxpayers' pockets in New Hampshire, then taxpayers are paying for it. But if it's a grant from the federal government, it's the federal government giving us money.
Yes, it's free.
It's free.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, but I thought the state got their money from my right pocket and the feds were taking it out of my left pocket.
No, you got that backwards, the other way around.
Oh,
but
it
you're
is.
on the right track.
Okay,
Yes.
yes. So the feds are getting their money from us. So I mean, our money's coming back to us in this grant. But
I hope we're entertaining folks, 'cause we have a lot of fun doing
Yes.
these shows. But underneath all the ho 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 is we're dead serious.
oh yes. Well, and then the last bill I wanted to talk about real brief is the interest rate bill
Oh yeah.
that came out, and I think I talked to to my viewers, but and let me get that bill number. It's House Bill 1673. If you want to look it up, go to the
1673.
state website and you can look that up.
Yeah. Representative Kevin Scully.
Yes, he
All
put this
you folks
in.
in Nashua, if you know anybody in Nashua, remember that name.
Oh, yes.
That young man needs to be reelected and sent back to the State House. He is dynamite.
Well, he organized this floor fight, and it's relative to the interest charged on late payments.
Right.
So if you don't pay your taxes, they charge us 12 and 18% interest.
12% to start with, 18% if they put a lien on it.
Yes.
And do you know what the rate, the Department of Revenue Administration, the DRA, okay, do you know what they charge the states?
Well, I do now.
What is it?
I was shocked when I found out it was this low.
Yeah,
2.5%.
that's what they can borrow the money from,
Yeah, but they're charging grandma 12%.
12%.
Yeah.
So here's the question. Why is it that the homeowners in New Hampshire, the cities, the towns, and the mafia can charge these kind of usury rates?
Yeah.
And two of them are legal, and the other guys, the feds are after them. I don't get
Yes. Well, and the reason they put this in is because years before Jimmy Carter,
it. Bingo.
they were charging less interest. Well,
Right.
then Jimmy Carter came along, and my first home loan in 1980
Right.
was 11.5% interest.
Yeah.
Well, then all of a sudden they said, the towns were like, look, we need to charge more interest. So that's when they went to the 12%, which was good for that time.
At that time.
Well, now they can borrow the money at 12%, 2.5%.
But here's the thing, the DRA, Department of Revenue Administration, sets the tax rate annually. So
Yes.
yeah, back in the good old days with Jimmy Carter, they set the tax rate.
That's right.
And now they've lowered it. But the cash cow,
Well, some cities are making tens of thousands of dollars off this.
yeah.
From the people that can't afford this.
So who testified against the bill? Portsmouth, Nashua, Concord, and
Yes.
Manchester.
Yeah. But I got up on the House floor and Rep. Dan Eden, Democrat, and also David Bates, Republican, got up on the House floor. And
It was bipartisan.
it was in a 23-0 committee report is virtually unheard of to overturn, and we overturned it by a vote of 163 to my side and 126 against
On
it.
the other side. Overturned it on the floor.
And then we passed it on a voice vote.
And then Kevin orchestrated that entire floor
He
fight.
did. He did an excellent
Who
job.
was going to speak, what the question, and you want to know the biggest point, and this is why I give this young man so much credit. You know the biggest point about it? It was his floor fight. He was orchestrating it.
Yes.
And he never once got on the floor. He took his ego, put it in his pocket, and says, I'm going to get the best there is in the House to fight this fight,
Yep.
and I'm going to sit down here.
Yeah.
And he did it.
Oh, it is. It's excellent.
I tell you, that young man's got a long way to go. Kevin Scully.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's going to do really well.
Yeah.
But then lastly, what I wanted to talk about is the show that you want to come back on and talk about New Hampshire drugs.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
Don, briefly, is when you invited me and a few other reps over to the Stratford County Jail.
Right.
I'll talk more about it later on the show that we do.
Yeah.
It just changed my life on the way I look at it.
Right.
But,
Right.
but go ahead and tell
Well,
the
here's
viewers
the
why
deal.
they're going to want to watch this show.
Yeah. This one's a biggie. Basically, we'll talk on the show, but basically, I've been working over at the Stratford County Jail.
Yep.
With the inmates over there for going on 21 months now.
Wow.
So over a year and a half, right? And I'm right down there on the cell block on the pods with the guys, right?
Oh yeah, you're rubbing elbows with them.
All right, right there. And we got some pretty rugged boys in there. We got guys looking at federal time. I got a couple of guys that have been sent off to the feds for 10, 11 years, 15 years once they got sentenced. But we're doing a drug and alcohol rehabilitation program over there for these guys. And what's great about it, I don't wear a uniform. I'm just like you right now, and I don't judge them. And as a result, what comes out is the real truth of the streets. It's enough to break your heart.
Yep.
It's unbelievable. So then that shifts my attention to what is being done about this. And there's this great wringing of the hands. Oh my God, this is terrible. We have to do something about the drug epidemic in New Hampshire. Well, next to nothing is being done.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah. Well, we want to get into that real big. And
Yes.
believe me, I've got testimony from experts. These guys were on the streets selling the drugs.
Well, and what I like too is that if any of the other inmates give you any crap, well, the other inmates already know the truth, and they're not going to allow it in that group that you have. They're going to say, "Hey, you're full of crap."
Yeah, yeah.
They're going to call them out, and they're going to keep everybody straight and narrow.
Who?
In your group.
Oh, my group. Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Those inmates are.
My group is going to tell, like I told you guys when you came over there for the interview with the inmates, I said, you're going to get a couple of things. They'll be honest, they'll be polite, and they will give you the truth like a meat cleaver right between the eyes. They will not pull any punches.
Yeah.
You want to know about prostitution and drugs and kids and drugs and everything? I got the expert sitting right there. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
And then when you ask them, well, what's the solution? They got the answer for that too. And
Yeah.
by God, they're not too far off the mark.
Well, I can't wait to have you on next week. I don't. Next week, I'm going to be at the State House late nights.
Well,
so
next
it'll
week
be,
I might be in New Jersey and going to a conference. So.
Okay.
But we'll
my condolences to you going down to New Jersey.
Yeah, amen. You know, that's a lovely gun state. You know.
Yes. Yeah. Well, anyways, I want to thank you for joining me and talking about the shooting down in Florida. Is such a tragic situation down there, but information's coming out that is disturbing.
Yeah. And great floor fights last week.
Yes.
God, that was really
had a good time.
stuff. You know, it's too bad your viewers can't really see what goes on behind the scenes.
Yes.
I mean, it's a fun game.
It is. Well, thank you, Don.
My pleasure.
All
My
right.
pleasure.
And until next week, I'll see you then. Bye now.